Hi, this is Winner, and welcome to Winscope Podcast. Why hard skills get you hired, but soft skills get you promoted. Now, as I've been reflecting a lot on my career so far in the past 8 years, especially about how I got to where I am today, the more I realized how true this statement really is. Now, I've always known that in order to be able to go far in your career or your business, you need to be the person who can ultimately combine both hard skills and soft skills together in order to go far. And especially to climb the corporate ladder, you need both. And some people might even argue that soft skills are even more important to navigate the political landscape. But that will be another episode for another day. In this episode, I'm going to try to explore the reasons, 4 reasons in particular, why this statement is true and how I have seen the evidences for it from my own personal experience. So, the first reason is that you are entrusted into a higher position due to your ability to influence people. Now, this is, I think, the number one reason that we can all agree on. Getting promoted, getting paid more means that you are entrusted with more responsibility. Having more responsibility means, in most cases, that you deal with more people. So whether directly or indirectly, as we've discussed and talked about in one of the previous episodes, whether directly or indirectly, you are expected to deal with a lot more people, to be able to influence more people. So being in a higher position means that the scale of changes or improvements that the company expects to see is greater. So you need to be able to drive and motivate a greater number of people, and that is what most companies are willing to pay more for. So it's not enough to just grind or work harder or being very good at your job. It means very little in terms of what the company is willing to pay you. This doesn't always mean that you need to have a lot of direct reports. Again, indirect influence is also important because very influential leaders are able to motivate people outside of their organizations as well. So people who don't directly report to them. So the rapport that you build around your peers and higher management is more valuable than you think. Now the second reason, and might be a controversial one, is that technical knowledge and skills can actually be learned or even outsourced. Now, this is based on what I've seen, and I think this is the general direction most companies are going with. And this can depend still, it depends a lot on the company's business or process technology, but companies nowadays are less motivated to develop in-house experts in themselves. Why? Because they tend to run the risk of that person leaving the company. So unless the complexity of the business or the technologies really demand it, it can be more sustainable for companies to hire external consultant, and outsource the expertise based on projects on a project basis. Engineering consultants are hired for engineering projects, external trainers are hired for special training courses. So higher up positions to get promoted, to be paid more, comes with more expectation to motivate people, to create cultures, to set directions, rather than just being an expert within the company. Of course, it's going to be a balance, and you shouldn't aim to get promoted without sufficient technical knowledge or experience. What I'm simply saying is that you need to realize what your company is also valuing when considering whether to promote you. So ultimately, the character of the person, the ability to influence people, these things are much more difficult to build compared to technical knowledge or experience. The third reason is coaching and developing people. So again, it's not enough for you to be paid more just because you are very good at your job. When you are placed in a higher position, the expectation is that you develop the people around you. And coaching is a very valuable skill set that companies are willing to pay for. Having a manager who can coach and develop people encourages young talents or high potentials to stick around longer with the company. And at the same time, it also promotes positive culture for tenured employees, so people who has been with the company for quite some time, to do more. Which brings me to the final reason. Companies need a person who can cultivate cultures, especially if that culture matches with the company values and or directions. To be promoted to a higher position, to be paid more, companies are willing to pay you more to do more through other people. So, to motivate people to move in the right direction cohesively and sustainably without you always having to point fingers or tell them exactly what needs to be done or spell it out for them one, two, three, you need to be able to cultivate a particular culture. Again, this is a very valuable skill set to have. And this requires self awareness to the highest level. As the cultivation that I'm talking about here will be through your every action and word to express your endorsement or disapproval. So, when you manage a team, if you're managing a team, if you lead a team, whenever something comes up, whether a mistake, a project, or how things are done a certain way, whatever type of situation comes up, how you react to that situation for people to interpret what you endorse or what you disapprove is very important and will need to be consistent over a long period of time. So that after that, people will be able to figure out on their own your expectations. They will understand what will get them promoted, and equally as important, they will understand what will get them fired. So, this is what I mean when I talk about cultivating cultures, and it allows people to have some sense of the general direction that the company promotes, that you promote. And this is, again, a very valuable skill set to have that companies are willing to pay for. So that's it, a very short one. Those are the 4 reasons why hard skills get you hired, but soft skills get you promoted. Companies need people who can influence and motivate other people. Companies think that technical and knowledge can be learned or even outsourced. They need a person who can coach and develop the people around them, and they need a person who can cultivate cultures. That's it for today. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.